Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, a $12 million renovation project to re-establish one of Dominica's oldest national monuments as a leading tourist attraction. Dominicans told to join the fight to eliminate invasive species on the island, and students across the country observe National Pride and Heritage Month. The details coming up.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Showtime shop at Quartz. We got all the things you want. So many ways to shop. You can pick up curbside. It's Showtime shop at Quartz. All the appliances, electronics, and furniture you like. Showtime. Showtime. We got it. Just what you need. Yeah, Quartz got it.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
One of Dominica's national monuments could become a major tourist attraction once more. Andrea Louis explains.
The Our Lady of Fairhaven Cathedral is undergoing a $12 million renovation project with hopes of restoring the building to a functional state in the shortest possible time. Recently, the flooring of the cathedral was completed, and engineers are now into Lot 7 of the 17-lot project. Assistant Diocesan Engineer Tariq Roll assures the public that the renovation project will keep elements of the cathedral's historic architecture.
As we are renovating the church, we are trying to keep the historical aspects as much as possible. So yes, we are considering that the history of the church and keeping everything that was how it was initially built. We're trying to keep it like that as much as we can, but with modern construction technology, yes.
Earlier in the project, the team came across a crypt or an underground burial chamber, which it believes can be utilized as an added tourist attraction for the cathedral.
We found a crypt that we found someone that was buried here, but we don't know exactly who is that person. So we're trying to have that as a tourist site. So we're going to have it as so that people can come and look at it. And there's also the crypt also has, I think, 4 bishops that are buried there. So that's another tourist attraction that we're trying to work on right now.
To date, the project costs $12 million, with $9 million already having been spent on renovations. Bishop of Roseau, His Lordship Gabriel Malzer, says the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the fundraising efforts of the church.
COVID has certainly impacted the possibilities of doing fundraising in the traditional sense of having functions. Because everyone is suffering today from COVID. Even the international agencies are more reluctant because they have to, they have other obligations. However, I think, that it does not mean that individuals or companies may not have some substantial funds to help, So we are kind of depending on that somebody of goodwill who really wants to assist in that regard can do so.
Works on the building are currently in Lot 7 of the 17-lot project, which is the installing and fabrication of shutters and doors for the cathedral. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Schools across the island are observing National Pride and Heritage Month this month. This is an initiative of the Ministry of Education to observe October as National Pride and Heritage Month to complement the national observance of Dominica's 42nd anniversary of independence. Modern Languages Coordinator in the Ministry of Education and Chair of the committee, Charlene White Christian, says schools are being encouraged to design teaching activities to reflect areas of culture during the month.
The Ministry of Education has decided to encourage schools to use the month of October to focus on the importance of national pride and cultural heritage. During the month, schools are expected to highlight aspects of culture, patriotism, governance, heritage, history, community life, local craft, folk dances and music, storytelling, local foods, and other cultural expressions. We're encouraging schools to design teaching and learning activities to reflect the areas of culture and patriotism, and also to center it around our Creole language, our Kokoi language, and our Kalinago language.
Each week during the month of October, attention will be placed on different aspects of Dominica's culture. History Week is being observed this week. Activities during National Pride and Heritage Month will culminate on Creole Day.
We will have Emblems Week the following week, where they will focus on Dominica's pride and our national symbols. And the last week, which we call Heritage Week, they will focus on everything that has to do with Dominica's heritage, our dress, our African influence, our Kalinago and Kokoi languages, our Creole language. And we are hoping to culminate on Creole Day with exhibitions and school performances that will highlight all what they have learned throughout the month as it relates to celebrating Dominica's Creole culture.
Participants of a week-long workshop on entrepreneurship and innovation have been told to value the power of partnerships. At the close of the week-long workshop on Friday, participants were told to place a high premium on building relationships.
I think you need to continue to build relationships between and among yourselves, between the local business community in Dominica. And you had the opportunity to interact with some of the leading entrepreneurs and innovators in the region, in the Americas. So I urge you to continue to build those relationships, to continue to grow and cultivate those relationships. Because in business, what you will realize is the power of network, of having a network that you can reach out to for different types of assistance that you may need along the road.
Friday's closing ceremony saw addresses from various speakers, among them the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Missy Henderson. She impressed on participants the need to stay in touch and to be there for each other.
This hub is not to foster individualism and social media self-praise. It is to build you up so that you can grow and help others in the process. In a few years' time, you may be the ones mentoring and presenting to others who are in your place. That has to be the goal, because Hurricane Maria and COVID have taught us the power of community is supreme. Our people are now determined to produce locally. They are determined to buy what is local, and they're determined to develop locally. Now, however, it should not be a reaction to events, but a continuation to a concerted and stated goal of self-sustain and to support one another in our local domains.
The week-long workshop was held at Jungle Bay Resort and Spa. Owner Sam Raphael encouraged young entrepreneurs to apply the knowledge they had received.
Always keep this moment. Remember how you felt when you were here at Jungle Bay, at the retreat, when you had the energy of your colleagues and had all of this positive energy. Keep that with you. Keep that buried inside of you so that you can rekindle that flame wherever you go when you meet the challenges that you're going to meet. Now, many of you, we had the opportunity to have discussions, and the one thing I would admonish you to do is to keep positive. You don't get anywhere by feeling down whenever you get that little sagging feeling, and it's quite common to get that. You need to learn how to control that emotion and to fight back. Surround yourself by very positive people. Surround yourself and make connections. Don't wait until you need a connection to make a connection. Make a connection and have, I mean, your real value, your balance sheet is what you have in the bank, but I think what's more important than what you have in the bank is the contacts and the connections that you have.
You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid. But there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
An appeal to the public to help reduce the population of invasive species on the island. Here again is Andrea Louis to tell us more.
Dominica's ecosystem and natural wildlife are currently battling to maintain their ground against 6 invasive species which entered the country following Hurricane Maria. One of the more concerning foreign species is the striped-tailed iguana, which is estimated to have a population of over 300 in the wild. Education officer with the Forestry Division, Janelle Brisbane, says the teams go out on a weekly basis to catch these animals.
We've been catching less and less, which is a good sign, but they're still out there. You know the problems. They hybridize with our natives. They compete with our natives. They out-compete, not just compete, they out-compete them because they get bigger. They're not afraid of people. They reproduce a lot more. So when our iguanas would lay up to 26 eggs, these iguanas will lay up to 70 eggs, and they've even found one female with 105 eggs in her. Yeah, so our iguanas don't stand a chance if we don't do something about it. And we've seen that on the other islands. So Dominica was the last island from Anguilla going down to Martinique that did not have these invasive iguanas on it, the striped tails.
Notable populations of the striped-tailed iguana have been found in areas which are close to ports, such as Talk Farm, Focole, and Portsmouth. The other invasive species which is posing a serious threat to local wildlife is the Cuban tree frog. This frog now has a population which is in the thousands. The education officer believes late intervention on the country's part has moved the division from being able to eradicate the problem to now only being able to control it.
When one frog lays 1,000 eggs, and they can lay 3 times a year, so up to 3,000 eggs in 1 year, one frog, if you don't press for the situation right away, if you don't have all your effort happening right away, it's a lost battle. So we've switched from being able to eradicate it to having to control it. And when you have to control an invasive species, that's more long term. Because whereas you invest, let's say $200,000 and you have 50 people for 5 months, now we have to go and spend thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for every single year going forward.
Brisbane believes priority should be given to funding programs to better help manage the invasive species populations here.
For the past 2 years, I don't think it was prioritized at all. You have a poisonous frog coming into the island, it's poisonous. It's going to affect the economy, for sure, especially in a place like Portsmouth that relies on tourism. You know, you have Ross leaving, you have COVID happening, you have a Cuban tree frog coming in. And of all those events, the Cuban tree frog is the one that we can get the most grip on, but we haven't. Because I don't think the priority was placed in dealing properly with the Cuban tree frog.
If any of the invasive species are sighted, Dominicans are asked to call the Forestry Division at 611-5852. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
The Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association says it's prepared to address any issues which may arise as Dominica reopens its borders to visitors. Dominica has launched Safe in Nature, a program geared at providing a safe experience to visitors from major tourism markets to the nature island during this COVID-19 pandemic. But the public is concerned that tourists may refuse to adhere to COVID-19 protocols, and that could complicate matters.
When we, in our collaboration with the various ministries and authorities, have defined how the managed experience will work, an important part of that is the monitor group. I mentioned the word a moment ago. This is a group where all parties are participating. The DAIC, the DHTA, but also the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Tourism, the Discover Dominica, and this group will be charged with following up on what is happening in the market. This group will also have the possibility to revoke certifications if participants do not stick to all the rules. So there is an organism that will help us to make sure that we stay. And what we also want, and I had the pleasure during the press launch to bring that to the attention, we asked the Dominicans, all Dominicans, to participate in this process. Tourism is everybody's business. It's important that the country rebuilds the tourism economy, not only for the work of the people in the tourism, but also for the country to bring in the currency again. So we're all carefully working on that. And if Dominicans have a concern, we ask them to express that. And we ask them, we will make access available to the monitor group, that the monitor group can investigate any problems that the public sees, and that we make sure that we put procedures in place to keep that in control.
The experience that visitors have at the airport can leave a lasting impression, and the authorities want to strike a balance between visitor experience and fighting COVID-19.
One thing that I have seen actually implemented elsewhere that made a significant impact is actually replacing the personnel there with civilian staff. And there was a whole program of training, service training that is, that redirected the thinking of those individuals to say that you are not there as to police the border, so to speak, but to welcome guests. And over a period of time, they were able to do that training, change the thinking, change the mentality. And the feedback from the experience in the airport actually shifted positive. It was quite an issue for this tourism-dependent nation. They recognize, and like I said, I mean, we have police officers that are performing the function now at the border. Not to say that police officers are bad service people, but functionally they're in a certain mind frame. In terms of enforcement and law enforcement. So it was shifted to a civilian function, and there was a lot of emphasis on service training. Again, driving home the message that you are there to welcome guests as opposed to police the border.
Sound business advice for budding entrepreneurs who have just completed a week-long workshop in entrepreneurship and innovation. Participants at last week's workshop were divided into groups and delivered presentations which were evaluated by experts in entrepreneurship and innovation.
We had a group of 6 judges, 3 panelists from the International Community of the Americas, 3 from Dominica, all experts and qualified with practical experience on innovation and entrepreneurship. They reviewed your presentations and assigned 1 to 5 points for each of your categories that were considered as part of the criteria. So these were: how do you define the problem, the solution, your value proposition, your market research, the clarity of your business model, intellectual property strategy, investment requirements, how your team perform as a group, and the quality of the presentation.
Local judges shared thoughts on the qualitative aspects of the presentations made by the different groups.
In terms of the business model, there were some presentations that were weak in this area, or that was one of the weaker areas, I should say. It wasn't clear as to what your revenue model was going to be, what percentage was based on subscription, for example, what would be based on online sales or sales. So that's one area as an investor, they really want to know that you know where you're going to be getting your revenue from, and in turn where they're going to get their return from. So that was another area that I think you guys need to spend more time on. And leading on to the business model, leading from the business model, I should say, your assumptions for your projections. I think that was one area. You would show the charts as to what you expect to get in revenue, but there were no assumptions to go with that. How did you get those figures that you're projecting for the next 3 to 5 years? So those are areas that you really need to focus on. Also, your investment ask. Many times you would have indicated what you needed from investors in terms of capital or seed capital, but you weren't very specific as to how they would get their money back or what the return options would be, how much equity you would give, what exactly you were going to use with that capital. Because right when you are asking for money, you have to have a very specific plan as to how you're going to spend that money. And there's some things that are going to be priorities, some things that are going to be nice to have. So you have to be able to clearly articulate how that money is going to be spent. And as an investor, the investor really would like to see what your net profits are. A lot of you all just showed your revenue. It's all well and good to show your revenue, but you need to know how much profit you're going to be making from that revenue. Like Kenny would have said this morning, there are many companies that they start off, their revenue is very good, but they're actually losing money. So an investor would need to know the bottom line. What are your net profits? And that in turn will help them to see what their valuation should be. So they can see whether the equity that you're offering to them is fair value or not.
The team Errand Boy received honorable mention with 148 points. In third place with 149 points was Innovative, makers of local sausages. In second place with 155 points was Circular Vision. And in first place with 156 points, Inner Expressions. This group works on natural exotic teas. In addition to the other prizes received, the OAS will provide international mentorship hours to the first, second and third place winners.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. A $12 million renovation project to re-establish one of Dominica's oldest national monuments as a leading tourist attraction. Dominicans told to join the fight to eliminate invasive species on the island, and students across the country observe National Pride and Heritage Month. You may access the news on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.